The old manor house stood shrouded in an eerie silence, its grand facade barely visible through the relentless downpour. Rain lashed against the windows, mimicking the tumultuous emotions brewing within its walls. Each drop seemed to echo the inner turmoil of its inhabitants. Lord Hamilton paced the library, his face etched with worry. His usually composed demeanor was now replaced with a look of deep concern. The weight of generations seemed to bear down on him, heavier than usual. The portraits of his ancestors seemed to watch him with a mix of judgment and sympathy. His ancestral home, usually brimming with warmth and laughter, felt cold and desolate tonight. The once lively halls were now silent, amplifying his sense of isolation. The cause of his distress? The disappearance of his prized possession, a diamond necklace of immense historical and monetary value. It was not just a piece of jewelry, it was a part of his family's soul. The necklace, a family heirloom passed down through centuries, was more than just jewels and gold. It was a symbol of the Hamilton legacy. Each generation had added to its story, making it irreplaceable. Lord Hamilton had always intended to bequeath it to his only son Edward, on his upcoming 25th birthday. It was to be a momentous occasion, a rite of passage that connected the past with the future. Now, with only a week left until the grand celebration, the necklace had vanished. The timing couldn't have been worse, adding to the mounting pressure on Lord Hamilton. The safe, hidden behind a portrait of his stern-faced ancestor, stood ajar, its emptiness mocking him. The sight of the open safe was a stark reminder of his failure to protect his family's legacy. Lord Hamilton sank into his leather armchair, despair washing over him. He felt the weight of his ancestors' expectations and the fear of letting down his son. He had to act swiftly. Time was of the essence and every moment counted. He couldn't afford to let panic paralyze him. His gaze fell upon the telephone and he knew exactly who to call. There was only one man he trusted with such a delicate matter. A man known for his sharp intellect and unwavering determination, Detective Harding. Harding had a reputation for solving the unsolvable, and Lord Hamilton hoped he could work his magic once more. The phone rang twice before a gruff voice answered. The sound of Harding's voice brought a glimmer of hope to Lord Hamilton's troubled mind.
Detective Harding speaking. His voice was steady, a stark contrast to the chaos in Lord Hamilton's mind.
Lord Hamilton wasted no time. He knew that every second was precious and he couldn't afford to delay.
Detective, it's Lord Hamilton, I need your help. His voice was tinged with desperation, a plea for assistance from a man who rarely asked for help. It's about the necklace. It's gone. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of their implications. The theft was not just a loss of a valuable item, but a blow to the very heart of the Hamilton family.
Detective Harding, a man of imposing stature and sharp, piercing eyes, arrived at the manor just as dawn was breaking. His presence was commanding, and his reputation as a meticulous investigator preceded him. The early morning light cast long shadows, adding to the air of mystery that surrounded the manor. The storm had subsided, leaving behind a damp chill in the air. The ground was still wet, and the scent of rain lingered, mixing with the earthy aroma of the garden. Harding took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the case settle on his shoulders. He surveyed the imposing facade of Hamilton Manor, its grand architecture standing tall against the backdrop of the morning sky. The manor, with its intricate stonework and towering windows, seemed to hold countless secrets within its walls. It was the kind of place that whispered secrets from every nook and cranny. The ivy clinging to the walls and the ancient oak trees surrounding the property added to the sense of timelessness and mystery. He had a feeling this case was going to be anything but straightforward. The complexity of the situation was evident, and Harding knew he would need to rely on his keen instincts and sharp intellect to unravel the truth. Lord Hamilton, his face etched with fatigue and worry, ushered him into the library. The Lord's eyes were heavy with sleeplessness and his movements were slow, as if burdened by the weight of recent events. The room was dimly lit, the only source of light a flickering fireplace that cast dancing shadows on the book-lined walls. The library was a sanctuary of knowledge, with shelves filled with leather-bound volumes and antique artifacts. The air hung heavy with the scent of aged leather and a hint of something else, anxiety perhaps. Harding could sense the tension in the room, a palpable unease that seemed to permeate the very walls. Harding ran a hand over his neatly trimmed mustache, his mind already piecing together the puzzle. He was known for his methodical approach, and he began to mentally catalog the details he had observed so far. He listened intently as Lord Hamilton recounted the events of the previous night, his voice laced with a mixture of anger and helplessness. The Lord's account was detailed, but there were gaps that Harding knew he would need to fill.
The safe was locked, Detective. It was a heavy iron safe, built to withstand any attempt at forced entry. I have the only key, and it was in my possession the entire time. I kept it on a chain around my neck, never letting it out of my sight. Who could have done this? The question hung in the air, unanswered, as Harding pondered the possibilities. There were many potential suspects, each with their own motives and opportunities.
Harding raised an eyebrow, his curiosity piqued. The case was becoming more intriguing by the minute, and he relished the challenge. His gaze swept across the room, taking in every detail. The arrangement of the furniture, the placement of the books, even the smallest objects could hold a clue.
Tell me, Lord Hamilton, Harding began, his voice steady and authoritative. Who else knew about the necklace? The question was direct, and Harding watched closely for any sign of hesitation or deceit in Lord Hamilton's response.
The investigation began in earnest. Detective Harding, known for his keen eye and relentless pursuit of the truth, was called in to solve the mystery of the missing necklace. The case had all the hallmarks of a classic whodunit, with a cast of characters each harboring their own secrets and motives. Detective Harding, with his methodical approach, began questioning the staff. He knew that every detail, no matter how small, could be the key to unlocking the mystery. His first step was to establish a timeline and understand the movements of everyone in the mansion on the day the necklace disappeared. There was Mrs. Peabody, the housekeeper, her face a mask of worry. She had been with the Hamilton family for over 20 years and was fiercely loyal. Her concern was palpable, but was it genuine or a cover for something more sinister? And then there was Mr. Thompson, the groundskeeper, a man of few words and a stoic demeanor. He had been seen near the library where the necklace was last known to be, but his alibi seemed solid. Still, Harding knew that appearances could be deceiving. Each member of the staff seemed above suspicion, yet Harding knew better than to rule anyone out this early in the game. He had learned from experience that the most unlikely suspects often turned out to be the culprits. He kept his mind open and his questions probing. He examined the library, his eyes scanning every inch of the room. The library was a grand room, filled with leather-bound books and antique furniture. It was a place where secrets could easily be hidden among the pages and shadows. The safe, now closed, held no visible signs of forced entry. It was a state-of-the-art model, designed to be impenetrable. Yet the necklace was gone. How had the thief managed to bypass such security? The room was impeccably tidy. Too tidy, perhaps. It was as if someone had meticulously cleaned up any trace of their presence. Yet something felt off. Harding's instincts told him that the scene had been staged. But by whom and why? It was as if someone had meticulously cleaned up any trace of their presence. Yet something felt off. The room's perfection was unsettling, a stark contrast to the chaos that usually followed a theft. Harding knew he had to dig deeper. Harding's gaze fell upon a seemingly insignificant detail, a small, ornate picture frame lying on its side on the mahogany desk. It was an odd detail, out of place in the otherwise pristine room. He picked it up, examining it closely. The photograph inside depicted a much younger Lord Hamilton, his arms slung affectionately around a beautiful woman with auburn hair and sparkling green eyes. The woman wore a stunning diamond necklace, the very same one reported missing. The woman wore a stunning diamond necklace, the very same one reported missing. The photograph was old, its edges yellowed with age, but the necklace sparkled as if it were brand new. This was a crucial clue, but what did it mean?
Lord Hamilton, this photograph, when was it taken? Harding's voice was calm, but his mind was racing. The timeline was critical. Understanding when the photograph was taken could provide insight into the necklace's history and its recent disappearance.
Lord Hamilton leaned in, his brow furrowing as he examined the picture. His expression was a mix of nostalgia and sorrow. The photograph clearly held significant memories for him, but it also seemed to stir up painful emotions.
That was taken almost 25 years ago, at my engagement party. His voice was tinged with sadness. The memory of that day was bittersweet, filled with joy and the promise of a future that was never realized. My fiancée Eleanor is wearing the necklace. She was the love of my life, and that necklace was a symbol of our commitment. It was a family heirloom, passed down through generations, and it meant the world to her. She passed away a few weeks before our wedding. Lord Hamilton's voice broke slightly as he spoke. The loss of Eleanor was a wound that had never fully healed. The necklace's disappearance was not just a theft. It was a painful reminder of a love lost too soon.
The revelation of the photograph added a new layer of complexity to the case. Who would have had access to a photograph from so many years ago? And why was it out of place? Harding's mind raced with possibilities. He questioned the staff again, this time focusing on their relationships with the late Eleanor. Mrs. Peabody, her eyes red-rimmed, spoke of Eleanor with a fondness that seemed genuine. Mr. Thompson, however, remained tight-lipped, his gaze shifting nervously as Harding pressed him for details. As the day wore on, a sense of unease settled over the manor. The staff, once a picture of decorum, whispered amongst themselves, their gazes darting suspiciously at one another. Lord Hamilton, his face pale and drawn, paced the library, his worry morphing into suspicion. Harding, sensing the shift in atmosphere, decided to play his cards close to his chest. He retreated to his temporary quarters, a small but comfortable room overlooking the rose garden. The rain had stopped, and a sliver of moonlight peeked through the clouds, casting long, eerie shadows across the manicured lawns.